students, welcome back. Today's topic is applet. An applet is a special kind of Java program that runs in a Java enabled browser. Applet can be typically embedded inside a web page that run over the network using web browser. They produce dynamic content very fast at the client side. Examples of an applet are loan calculator, age calculators, due date calculators that run on the client side. The other definitions of applet are: applet is a small Java application that can be accessed on an internet server, transported over internet, and can be automatically installed and run as part of a web document. After a user receives an applet, the applet can produce a GUI. GUI means graphical user interface. It has limited access to resources so that it can run complex computations without introducing the risk of viruses or breaching data integrity. Applet is a GUI based program. Applets are event driven. There are two varieties of applets. The first are those based directly on the applet class. They use the AWT to provide GUI. This style of applets are there since Java inception. They are used for simple user interfaces. The second kind of applets are based on Swing class JApplet. Swing applets are the applets that use the Swing classes to provide the graphical user interface. Swing based applets are now the most popular because Swing offers a richer and often easy to use user interface than the kind of applets that are produced by AWT. JApplet inherits applet. All features of applets are also available in JApplet. Execution of an applet do not begin at main. So there won't be a main method inside an applet program. Output is handled by AWT methods such as drawString method instead of system.out.println. And in Swings there is a different mechanism of outputting. And this drawString method is used to output a string to a specified XY location. There are two ways of deploying an applet. The first is to use Java Network Launch Protocol, which is also called as JNLP. The second one is to specify the applet directly in an HTML file without the use of JNLP. And this second kind of approach is used for deploying simple applets. In this kind of approach, there will be an applet tag. Applet tag is currently deprecated by the HTML specification, and there is an alternative tag which is an object tag specified. Before using the applet tag, please look into the HTML documentation and then use applet tag in your applications. Once applet tag is encountered in the HTML file, the specified applet will be executed by the Java enabled web browser. There is another use of applet tag. That use is that it allows us to easily view and test the applet. So if you want to test your applet, you can include a comment at the head of your Java source code file that contains the applet tag. So you have to put this applet tag inside the comments at the head of your Java source code file. This way, your code is documented with the necessary HTML statements needed by our applet, and we can test the compiled applet by starting the applet viewer with the Java source code file specified as the target. Two ways to run your applet. The first one is run within either web browser, or the second one is run from an applet viewer. Applet viewer is provided by your JDK. You can use any of the both, friends. How do you provide applet tag inside your source code? So you have to put the applet tag inside the comments. So here angular bracket lesser than symbol and greater than symbol is considered to be a tag. And since we are saying it is applet, it's an applet tag. And there is a closing applet tag which will start with an angular bracket and then a slash and then the applet and then a greater than symbol. That is a closing tag for applet. Inside this applet tag, we are providing three parameters. The first is the code parameter. Inside the code parameter, we are mentioning the dot class file of the program, which is myapplet. You can also say the name. Okay, so the dot class file name is myapplet. So we are saying myapplet, or you can also say myapplet dot class inside the code. And here the width. The width is nothing but 300 pixels wide. Okay, so the applet that we are creating, or the window that we are creating, will be 300 pixels wide. And the height of the applet is 600 pixels high. Okay, so we are drawing the length and breadth of the applet. So here that is width and height, which are mentioned in terms of pixels. Okay, so applets run within a web browser or an applet viewer. And applet viewer is provided by the JDK, which I already told you, friends. Applet class is contained in java.applet package. So java.applet defines three interfaces. Those three interfaces are applet context, applet stub, audio clip. Applet extends panel class, and panel extends container class, and container extends component class, and component extends the object class. So I have given a diagram over here. Applet extends applet. This I told you in the first slide. And all these, except for the object, all these are available in java.awt package. So you have to import java.awt.star package inside here the applet program that we are writing. And object is there in java.lang package. So you can see, as you can see in this diagram, that JApplet is a subclass of applet, and applet is a subclass of panel, and panel is a subclass of container, and container is a subclass of component, and component is a subclass of object. All applets that we write are subclasses of applet. So you have to extend. So you have to extend applet class to create an applet. So what are the methods defined in the applet class? There are so many methods, friends, inside the applet class, but I am discussing few which are very important. The first one is void init. Init method is called when applet begins execution. So who is calling this init method? So init method is called by the browser. It is first method called for any applet, and this is called only once. Okay, so init method executes only once in the lifetime of an applet. The next is the start method, friends. The start method is called by the browser when an applet should start or resume execution. It is automatically called after init when an applet first begins. So this is executed when we maximize the browser. So whenever you maximize the browser, the start method is executed. And the next one is stop method. The stop method is called by the browser to suspend execution of an applet. Here we are not using it to destroy, to suspend the execution of an applet. Suspend means like we are pausing the execution of an applet. So once stopped, an applet is restarted when the browser calls start. Okay, so when the start method, when we are minimizing, the stop method is executed. And when you maximize it, automatically the start method is called. Okay, so that is regarding the stop method. This is the destroy method. The destroy method is called by the browser just before an applet is terminated. Your applet will override this method if it needs to perform any cleanup prior to its destruction. Okay, so this is called just before an applet is terminated. And we will be overriding it only if you want to perform certain cleanup operations. Let us look into the life cycle of an applet. The first is the init method. Init method is the first method to be called. This is where we should initialize the variables, because init itself means that initialization. This method is called only once during the lifetime of your applet. So once the init method is executed, the applet is said to be in the born state. Next is the start method. The start method is called after init method. It is also called to restart an applet after it has been stopped. So what does it mean by after it has been stopped? Maybe the user has minimized the applet and then he wants to maximize or view the page again. So in that situations, the start method is called. The start is called each time an applet's HTML document is displayed on screen. The next is the paint method. Paint method is called each time your applet's output must be redrawn. I didn't discuss about paint method in the applet methods, friends, because paint is not there in the applet class. Paint is there in the component class. Okay, so paint is there in the component class. That's the reason why I didn't discuss about paint in the applet methods. So the window in which the applet is running may be overwritten by another window, and then we want to uncover it. So in that cases, the paint method is called. Okay, the next situation is, or the applet window may be minimized and then restored. Then the paint method is called. Paint method is also called when the applet begins execution. Okay, so we have to understand that whenever the applet must redraw its output, paint is called. And paint method has one parameter of type graphics. We'll see all this in the program. And the next is the stop method. The stop method is called when a web browser leaves the HTML document containing the applet. Okay, so when it goes to another page. Okay, from one page, when we are going to another page, the stop method is called. And you have to understand one thing here, friends, that the applet is still running. Okay, you should use stop to suspend threads that don't need to run. Okay, so that's the reason the stop method is called. When the applet is not visible, when the applet is not visible, the threads need to be stopped. That's the reason why stop is called. Okay, so to understand it better, like whenever the user is minimizing it, the stop method is called. And once you want to maximize it, the start method is called. So init method is taking the applet to the bound state. From the bound state, when the start method is called, it goes into the running state. It keeps in the running state by calling the paint method. And when the stop method is called, it goes into the idle state. And when the user is again maximizing it, it again goes into the running state. The start method is called and it goes into the running state, friends. Okay, so what is the destroy method? The destroy method is called when the environment determines that your applet needs to be removed completely from the memory. Okay, stop method is just to stop it. Okay, from will pause all the threads from running. But dead state or the destroy method will create the applet to completely remove from the memory. And you have to override this destroy method if you want to perform certain cleanup of the resources that the applet is holding any. Okay, and one important point is the stop method is always called before the destroy method. So this is the life cycle of an applet, friends. And another important point to remember is the sequence of the call of the methods. When an applet begins, the sequence of methods that are called are init method, start method, and paint method. And when an applet is terminated, the sequence of methods called are stop and destroy, friends. So now let us take a look into how to create an applet and run the applet.